This is TWiT.
Harper Reed, it's great to have you back. Harper was our guest on Triangulation. And,
yes.
And at the time, he was the guy responsible, or to a great degree responsible for the Obama campaign's 2008 digital strategy.
That's true.
And since then, what have you been up to?
Mostly just laying on my floor. I try not to do much.
Is the ACA website, let's get this straight, is not your fault.
It might be because I was laying on my floor. Those may be related. Well, actually, no, it is not my fault, and it's actually a pretty, interesting kind of situation. One where if I was involved, I think that the cronyism would be very active, and we don't want that. But the procurement system is very bad. So
can you explain a little bit about how these kinds of things happen? I mean, it took 3 years to build and 10 minutes to break. I mean, look, I covered the Valley and tech startups, but I'm curious how, and sometimes they break and sometimes they don't. But how do you think this kind of happened?
I think the first thing is that it's an unprecedented size of a consumer app for the government. And I think that's the first thing, is that it's just a very large app. I mean, normally an application that you build doesn't have automatically 300 million users that are, able to log in and participate. The next thing is that the procurement system of the government is just brutal, where it's when you're trying to do technology and the organizations you're working with, the smartest guys in the rooms are the lawyers instead of the tech folks. I think that's when we have a problem. And so for the most part, you have these great organizations that are doing great work, but they're maximizing their abilities on lawyering and procurement contract, not on technology. And so there's this meme that, if we just added some Silicon Valley style technologists to the mix, that things would be better. And this kind of started with the idea of tech surge and all that stuff. But the problem is until we get rid of or make more efficient the procurement laws and make it so that people like us could actually participate in a real way, then it doesn't matter. You're still going to get crap product.
So how are they going to fix it?
There's been a lot of talk from the White House about fixing and really making the procurement process easier for great small contracting firms to kind of get involved. And I think that's the first step, is from the White House kind of pushing down some policies, et cetera, some ideas. Todd Park, the CTO of the White House, has done a really good job of kind of starting this process, being very public about it. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is there were a lot of people who there was a couple of days on Twitter where everyone was suggesting that I step in and help, which would not have solved anything. But because of that, a lot of people emailed, and so I just say, hey, why don't you quit your job and help out? And no one's willing to do that. So I think there's a lot of talk, and I think that if you have a better opportunity to get people into the door of the White House to help out into these great organizations, et cetera, then I think more people will participate. But until then, it's easy for us to sit in our armchairs and talk about how we would have done it differently.
Look at Leo sitting in his fancy armchair.
I got it. I'm looking at Healthcare Sherpa. It seems to work. A couple of guys in Silicon Valley designed this in their free time. Of course, it doesn't connect to anything.
That's the other thing about this is, the Healthcare.gov it connects to, I have no idea how many
50 state databases, and then it's crazy.
I connected to like 3 databases on the campaign, and I sometimes wished I was dead. You have all of these different companies who have no interest in working together, and then you have this kind of glue that's supposed to wrap it all together, and it barely works. And from a technology standpoint, I think they probably did a pretty good try. It's just it's hard.